What is up, dudes and dudettes? I am the Mystical Green Beanie, and welcome to another episode of Hitting the Books, the show where I take a comic that I have read this week and I review it. So, Red Hood and the Outlaws was a book that I was very hesitant to pick up. It got nothing but hate and was the whipping child which most post crisis DC fans pointed to when they displayed their distaste for the New 52. But then some time passed, and a majority of the blind hate for the New 52 withered, and I started hearing some conflicting remarks about this book, and the reactions towards Red Hood and the Outlaws went from being overwhelmingly negative to mixed to favorable. And I just got to the point where I broke down and I decided to read the damn thing for myself, and I got volume one. So, as always, I'm going to break the story down. So, it starts off with Jason Todd, the Red Hood, doing his Red Hood thing. And then he fucks up upon his escape and he gets knocked out. He later wakes up and sees that he's being nursed back to health by this sexy alien chick, whom we all know to be Princess Coriander, aka Starfire. Now, after a few days, he works up the strength to walk, and Corey shows Jason around her private island. See, Corey's been in hiding because she's interacted with a few humans, and aside from the very few who she thought was awesome, she met a lot who weren't awesome, and that forced her into being a recluse. And I actually just realized how painfully realistic that is. Anyways, Corey and Jason form a strong bond on this island, becoming strong friends with benefits. But soon, Jason checks the news and he sees a familiar face. Roy Harper, former sidekick to Green Arrow, now being put to death by the Middle Eastern country of Iraq because, well, alright, dude, let's be real. We all have that one fuckhead friend, and in this case, Roy is that friend. So naturally, Jason and Corey go to break Roy out, and it's done in what I feel is one of the coolest breakout sequences that I've seen in quite a while. It's very cinematic, and it's very Tarantino esque. Well, actually, this whole damn book feels like a Tarantino movie, but I'll get into that more later. So Jason and Corey take Roy to their private island where they all just relax. And I love the dialogue between Starfire and Roy because Starfire has a lot of quirks, and one of them is her goldfish like memory. And he brings up the Wolfman Titans roster, to which she replies, I don't know who those people are, but you want to shack up? And of course they do, because, seriously, if a chick as hot as Starfire wants to fuck, gay, straight, asexual, whatever, y'all gonna fuck. Meanwhile, Jason is seeing the projection of a girl that he met a long time ago after he was resurrected and trained with an ancient society that had strong ties to Ra's al Ghul. And just out of curiosity, Jason takes her up on what she's putting down, and he decides to go to his training grounds with the company of his plucky outlaws, only to find that everybody there has been murdered and reanimated. And the team has to fight them all off, which, they win, of course, because they're the main protagonist. But this whole event disturbs Jason on a number of levels, actually, and it's really kind of heart wrenching. So, in an attempt to find the being responsible for all this, the team find an ancient person known as Saru, the Protector. And since the being they're tracking down, known as the Entitled, as it's called in this book, passed the Protector in their escape, Jason wants to follow them. But in order to proceed, they need to give Saru their most prized memory. And they do so, and they go off to fight a demon or whatever, which is cool, I guess, but nowhere near as cool as seeing not only the memories and backstories of these characters, but seeing the reaction that Saru has to these memories. It's utterly hilarious. So, anyways, after killing that demon, they all leave. And in tracking down the Entitled, the trail leads them to Colorado, where things get messy for Roy, Jason, and Starfire. So, in this town, Jason is tracking down the Entitled, and he's led to a creature from an ancient race of creatures that pose as humans. And as you'd expect, things go south really fast. Meanwhile, with Starfire, she's battling Crux, a guy who basically turned himself into a monster to fight aliens. And his whole reasoning for this is because he had a close encounter with the third kind that did not go over so well, and it left him the sole survivor of his family. Thus, his hate for extraterrestrials was born. And he tries to fight Starfire, which doesn't work out for him at all, because, duh, his name is not in the title of this book. But yeah, she takes him down with a major assist from Roy. Meanwhile, Jason kills the monster who was posing as a human. Only thing is, it was posing as a human. That means after he killed this creature in front of the entire town, uh, they all reacted as if that was the actual person that got killed. And just to avoid further conflict, Jason runs out of there and he makes sure to drag his friends along with him. So after that whole debacle is dealt with, Jason drops off Crux and Arkham, and the trio head off to wherever they want to head off to next. But then something happens that I'm totally not going to spoil for you guys because I want you to read this book for yourselves. But yeah, after that last action scene, we basically reach the end of this story arc. So that was the story. Now let's get into what I thought about this art. Now, the art style here is very divisive. Personally, I love it. Uh, it's done by Kenneth Roccaforth and Blonde, the duo who both did Superman in the early New 52, and I love this art style. It's very gorgeous, and it suits this book better than Superman, in my opinion. It's very rough and gritty, but at the same time, it has a regal cinematic taste. And as I said earlier, it kind of makes it feel like a Tarantino movie. And the art just really works here. Now to get into the things that stood out to me, whether they be good or bad. Starting off with the good as always, this was written by Scott Lobdell. Scott fucking Lobdell. This is by far one of the best things that he's written. Granted, that's not saying much, but still, it's really good, even by his standards. And this. All right, so by comic book standards, it's okay. Uh, but I'll get into that later. But yeah, another thing that I really liked was this team. These are the saddest band of misfit toys that have been stuck together, and they really work. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but the writer really gets the essence of these characters, even with the minor changes to their characteristics, because at their core, Starfire is the promiscuous outcast who's more boobs than brains. Roy is an addict and a professional fuckboy, and Jason has issues. And Lebdo really did a good job, again, I can't believe I'm saying this, of giving these characters unique voices. And they were all really true to who these characters inherently should be. Another thing that I really liked was that this crew has a lot of great quirks, especially Starfire, which a lot of people seem to take issue with, but I didn't. I actually thought it was kind of hilarious that Starfire was not only kind of slutty but naive as hell, but also she had a little bit of repressed anger in there too. And I just felt like she was really great in this book. And I really don't see the problem with the way she was portrayed. And I honestly don't take issue with Roy being depicted as white trailer trash either. The way I see it, Roy's always teetered on that edge of being a hero and a dumbass. And the writer just has him go full dumbass. And within the context of this book, it works out a lot. And it actually serves for a lot of pretty funny moments in this story. And last, I love this story because it really works as a story. And I can totally understand why people said that this book is shit narrative wise, because I can imagine reading this issue to issue, it wouldn't read as well. But collected, it tells a great story. As for the bad, even though I'm singing this book's praises, let me just remind you this is still Scott Lobdell. So the story has a lot of choppy bits to it, and even though they're masked most of the time, you can clearly tell when Scott Lobdell forgot what he wrote previously. Also, Scott Lobdell's Jason Todd is very flip floppy. It's like Jason has two personalities, and it can be very jarring at times. But all in all, I really enjoyed this book. I really enjoyed myself when I was reading it. It's a very fun book, And the best way that I can describe it is think Brian Bendis' Guardians of the Galaxy, but 2 years before that was a thing. And really, if I'm being totally honest here, the only reason I feel like this book gets the shit that it gets is because it was a knee jerk reaction to the New 52. And since this was under the New 52 brand, it really didn't matter who the writer and artist were going to be, it would have gotten shadowed regardless. But before I get on my soapbox and rant, I'm just going to end this video right here. So, that was my opinion on this book, well, volume one anyways. Have you read it? Do you not plan on reading it? Do you hate Scott Lobdell? Do you think that I'm an idiot for actually liking the story? Let me know down below in the comment section. If you like this video, hit the like button, share, support the channel. If you want to see more content like this, all you gotta do is subscribe. I am the Mystical Green Beanie, and as always, until next time, adios nachos, adios. Charged up.